In this section, we're going to start out by taking a look at what I'm going to call calculated callouts. Now, you might be familiar with shapes inside of Microsoft Excel, and a type of shape that we have is a callout. Take a look. If I hop up to my Insert tab, there's a section in here called Illustrations, and one of the options in there is Shapes. And there are loads of different shapes that we can take advantage of. There are basic shapes, things like rectangles and ovals and triangles and so on. There's arrows, there's equation shapes, there's loads of different shapes that we can use. They're essentially little graphics that you can throw it on your spreadsheet, right? People use the arrows to maybe draw attention to certain elements, kind of highlight areas within a worksheet. You might use a rectangular shape or an oval shape to drop text inside of, but they're essentially just graphics that you can then use inside your spreadsheet. What I'm going to use them as is essentially little boxes that we can put text inside of, but the text isn't going to just be static text. I'm not just going to type the name of the spreadsheet, like monthly budget, something like that, but it's going to have text in combination with the calculation. Something like this right here. This is just a simple shape. Go to your Insert tab, go to Shapes, and grab the rectangle shape. Drop it on your worksheet. The difference here is it contains text and it has a calculation in there. This calculation is summing up the actual values that we have across our 3 different categories of expenses. So we're getting a sum of the actual for bills, the actual for expenses, and the amount for the subscriptions category, all within this little box. I like using these shapes because they're graphical. There's something different than just dropping it into a cell, and you can format them in many different ways with many different types of shapes. Here I just use a basic shape, but like we just saw, back to Insert Shapes, you've got lots of different types of shapes that you can use, and a section that's actually called callouts. These would be like little bubbles that you would see inside of like the Sunday comics, right? With the characters speaking out of their head, that type of thing. So we got all these different types of shapes. You can drop just standard text into them. You can do calculations like we're going to see here, and you can do lots of different formatting with them. Now, for calculations to work inside one of these shapes, you actually have to create the calculation out inside of a cell, like this cell right here. You can see my formula bar. We've got a bit going on inside there. Okay? It's actually just a little bit of text, like total expenses, and then it's got a couple of functions in there that are doing the formatting and the summing, and it's got some concatenating character with a carriage return, or essentially a line break inside of the call out, inside of the shape. And then we'll talk some more about that as we create this. But then once you create the calculation in a cell, you then reference that cell inside of the shape. And we'll take a look at how to do that as well. Now, this is just a quick introduction into what we're going to start this section out in. We're going to create a couple of little boxes like this to place some text and some calculated values and do some formatting with the shapes as well. So let's get ready and let's jump in.